Dr. Siddiqui A.N. from SSGM College, Kopargaon. Today we will start the new topic, molecular basis of inheritance. The discovery of DNA. Modern understanding of DNA has evolved from the discovery of nucleic acid to the development of the double helix model. In 1869, Friedrich Schmitter began working with white blood cells (WBC), which are the major component of pus from infections. It means that WBC are the major component of pus from infections. Friedrich Schmitter collected a lot of pus from bandages at the local hospital. He collected a lot of pus from bandages at the local hospital. He used a salt solution to wash the pus of the bandages. When he added a weak alkaline solution to the cells lysed and nuclei precipitated out of the solution. From the cell nuclei, Friedrich Schmitter isolated a unique chemical substance to which he called nuclein. Chemically, nuclein has high phosphorus content. Moreover, it showed acidic properties. Nuclein showed the acidic properties. Hence, it was named as nucleic acid. By the early 19th century, we knew that Mitchell's nuclein was a mixture of proteins and nucleic acids. There are two types of nucleic acids: DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid. The genetic material is a DNA. By the early 19th century, geneticists knew that genes control the inheritance of traits. That genes are located on chromosomes, and that chemically chromosomes are mainly composed of DNA and proteins. Chemically, chromosomes are mainly composed of DNA and proteins. Initially, most geneticists thought that proteins are large, complex molecules and store information needed to control cell metabolism. Hence, it was assumed that proteins cause the variation observed within species. Over a period of roughly 25 years, 1928 to 1952, geneticists became convinced that DNA and not protein. Was the genetic material. It means that DNA is the genetic material. Let us study the three important contributions that helped cause this shift of opinion. Griffith experiment. In 1928, a British medical officer, Frederick Griffith, performed an experiment on bacterium Streptococcus pneumoniae. That Streptococcus pneumoniae infect the pneumonia that causes pneumonia in humans and other mammals. Griffith used two strains of bacteria or two genetic varieties of Streptococcus to find a cure for pneumonia, which was a common cause of death at that time. The two strains used were: number one, virulent, smooth, pathogenic, and encapsulated S type. See again. Number one, virulent, smooth, pathogenic, and encapsulated S type. Number two, non-virulent, rough, non-pathogenic, and non-capsulated R type. Griffith conducted 4 experiments on these bacteria. First, when he injected bacteria of strain R to mice, the mice survived. See again. First, when he injected bacteria of R strain to mice, the mice survived because it did not develop pneumonia. Second, when he injected bacteria of S strain to mice, the mice developed pneumonia and died. The mice developed pneumonia and died. In the third experiment, he injected heat-killed S strain bacteria to mice. Once again, the mice survived. Once again, the mice survived. In fourth experiment, he mixed heat-killed S bacteria with live bacteria of R strain and injected to mice. The mice died, and Griffith recovered large numbers of live strain S bacteria from the blood of the dead mice. In these four experiments, something had caused harmless R strain bacterium to change into deadly S strain bacterium. Griffith showed that the change was genetic. The change was genetic. He suggested that genetic material from heat-killed S strain bacterium had somehow changed the living R strain bacterium into S strain bacterium. Griffith concluded that R strain bacterium must have taken up. Griffith concluded that the R strain bacterium must have taken up to what he called a transforming principle. He called a transforming principle from the heat-killed S bacterium, which allowed R strain to get transformed into smooth-coated bacterium and become virulent. This is the Griffith experiment. First shows the rough R strain injected to mice, then smooth strain injected to mice, then heat killed S strain injected to mice, and then mixture of R strain and heat killed smooth strain injected to mice. That result shows first mouse alive, then second mouse died, then third mouse alive, and in the last when he injected rough strain and it killed the smooth strain, mouse dead. Second experiment, Avery McCarthy and MacLeod experiment in 1944. After some 10 years of research and experimentation, United States microbiologist Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy, all at Rockefeller University in New York. First evidence to prove the DNA is a genetic material, that is transforming principle. Through the experiment, they purified DNA, RNA, proteins, and other materials from cell-free extract of S cells or strain and mixed with heat-killed S strain and R cells separately to confirm which one could transform living R cell into S cell. To confirm which one could transform living R cells into S cells. Only DNA was able to transform harmless R strain into deadly S strain. They also discovered that protein digesting enzymes, proteases, RNA digesting enzyme, RNases, did not affect transformation. So the transforming substance was neither a protein nor RNA. So the transforming substance was neither a protein nor RNA. DNA digested with DNA didn't inhibit the transformation, suggesting that DNA caused the transformation. These experiments proved that transforming principle is DNA. These experiments proved that the transforming principle is DNA. That is shown in the diagram. DNA transforms bacteria. Finally, Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase in 1952 proved that DNA is the genetic material and not proteins by using bacteriophage. Hershey-Chase experiment. Hershey and Chase worked with viruses that infect bacteria, that is bacteriophages. Bacteriophages means viruses infect the bacteria. which are composed of DNA and protein. Hershey and Chase used radioactive phosphorus P32 in the medium for some viruses and radioactive sulfur S35 for some others. They grew some viruses on a medium that contained radioactive phosphorus and some others on medium that contained radioactive sulfur. They grew some viruses on a medium that contained radioactive phosphorus and some others on medium that contained radioactive sulfur. Viruses grown in the presence of radioactive phosphorus contain radioactive DNA, labeled DNA, but not radioactive proteins because DNA contains phosphorus, labeled DNA, but proteins do not, or not proteins. Similarly, viruses grown on radioactive sulfur contain radioactive protein but not radioactive DNA because DNA does not contain sulfur. Because DNA does not contain sulfur, DNA contain only phosphorus. Radioactive phages were allowed to infect Escherichia coli bacteria grown on the medium containing normal phosphorus and sulfur. Then, as the infection proceeded, the viral coats were removed with the help of centrifuge. With the help of centrifuge, the virus's coats were removed. Bacteria which were infected by viruses with radioactive DNA were radioactive. Bacteria which were infected by viruses with radioactive DNA were radioactive, indicating that DNA was the material that passed from the viruses to the bacteria. Indicating that DNA was the material that passed from the viruses to the bacteria. Bacteria which were infected by viruses having radioactive sulfur. Bacteria which were infected by viruses having radioactive sulfur, that is protein, were not radioactive. Were not radioactive. This indicates that proteins from the viruses did not enter the bacteria. See again, this indicates that proteins from the viruses did not enter the bacteria. DNA is therefore the genetic material that is passed from the virus to bacteria. Their DNA is therefore the genetic material that is passed from the viruses to bacteria. In other words, sometime after infection, radioactivity for phosphorus and sulfur was tested. Radioactivity for phosphorus and sulfur was tested. Only radioactive phosphorus was found inside the bacterial cell. Only radioactive phosphorus was found inside the bacterial cell. And it indicates that DNA is the genetic material. It indicates that DNA is the genetic material. That is shown in the diagrammatic form in the Hershey and Chase experiment, that in proceeded by three main steps: infection, blending, centrifugation. Next point, DNA packaging. Length of DNA double helix molecule in a typical mammalian cell is approximately 2.2 meters. Approximate size of a typical nucleus is 10 raised to minus 6 meter. How this long DNA molecule can be then accommodated in such a small nucleus? In such a small nucleus, it therefore must be condensed, coiled, and supercoiled to fit inside such small nucleus. आपण लँडलाईन टेलिफोनचा बॉक्स पाहिला असेल. त्या लँडलाईन टेलिफोन बॉक्स पासून रिसिव्हरपर्यंत ती टेलिफोन कॉर्ड असते. ही कॉर्ड गुंडाळी स्वरूपात असते, कॉईल कंडिशन, कंडेन्स कंडिशनमध्ये असते. आणि जेव्हा आपण ती कॉर्ड त्या टेलिफोन बॉक्सपासून लांब अंतरावर नेतो तेव्हा ती उलगडते आणि मोठी अशी लांब आकारामध्ये होते. आणि मग इतर वेळेस ती कॉर्ड कॉईल कंडिशनमध्ये असते. त्याचप्रमाणे हे DNA मॉलिक्यूल आपल्या न्यूक्लियसमध्ये कंडेन्स्ड कॉईल कंडिशनमध्ये प्रेझेंट असते. पॅकेजिंग इन प्रोकॅरियोट्स. In prokaryotes like Escherichia coli, cell size is almost 2 to 3 mu long. They do not have well organized nucleus. It is without nuclear membrane and nucleolus. The nucleoid is small, circular, highly folded, naked ring of DNA which is 1100 mu long in perimeter, containing about 4.6 million base pairs. The 1100 mu long nucleoid is to be fitted or packaged into a cell which is hardly 2 to 3 mu long. Hence, the negatively charged DNA becomes circular, reducing the size to 350 micromu in diameter. This is further reduced to 30 micromu in diameter because of folding or looping. Because of folding or looping, it is reduced to 30 micromu in diameter. 40 to 50 domains or loops are formed. 40 to 50 domains or loops are formed. Formation of loops is assisted by RNA connectors. Each domain is further coiled and supercoiled, thereby reducing the size down to 2 mu in diameter. Each domain is further coiled and supercoiled, thereby reducing the size down to 2 mu in diameter. This coiling or packaging is assisted by positively charged HU, that is histone like DNA binding protein, that is assisted by positively charged HU, or that is histone like DNA binding proteins. Proteins and enzymes like DNA gyrase and DNA topoisomerase first for maintaining supercoiled state. In this diagram, DNA packaging in prokaryotes, that is shown. Packaging in eukaryotes. Eukaryotes show well organized nucleus containing nuclear membrane, nucleolus, and thread like material in the form of chromosome, that is chromatin network. Eukaryotes show well organized nucleus containing nuclear membrane, nucleolus, and thread like material in the form of chromosomes. In the chromosomes, DNA is associated with histone and non-histone proteins. In the chromosomes, DNA is associated with histone and non-histone proteins, as was reported by R. Kornberg in 1974. The organization of DNA is much more complex in eukaryotes. Depending upon the abundance of amino acid residues with charged side chains, a protein acquires its charge. Histones are the proteins that are rich in lysine and arginine amino acids. Histones are the proteins that are rich in lysine and arginine amino acid residues. Both these amino acid residues are basic amino acids and carry positive charge with them. So histones are a set of positively charged basic proteins. Histones are a set of positively charged basic proteins. Histone plus protamine. These histones organize themselves to make a unit of 8 molecule known as histone octamer. Octa means 8 there. These histones organize themselves to make a unit of 8 molecules known as histone octamer. This is the structure of nucleosome that shows the octamer of histones. The negatively charged helical DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer. The negatively charged helical DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer, forming a structure known as nucleosome. This is the structure of nucleosome. The nucleosome core is made up of 2 molecules of each of 4 types of histone proteins: H2A, H2B, H3, and H4. H1 proteins bind the DNA thread where it enters and leaves the nucleosome. One nucleosome approximately contains 200 base pair long DNA helix wound around it, that is shown in the figure diagram. one nucleosome approximately contains 200 base pair long DNA helix wound around it. About 146 base pair long segment of DNA remains present in each nucleosome. Nucleosomes are the repeating units of chromatin. Nucleosomes are the repeating units of chromatin which are thread-like stain, that is colored bodies present in the nucleus. These look like beads on string. These look like beads on string when observed under an electron microscope. It looks like beads on string. DNA helix of 200 base pairs wraps around the histone octamer. 6 such nucleosomes get coiled and then form solenoid that looks like coiled telephone wire. Before some time I explain about telephone wire.